Time is 6:35.
6:43.
6:43. Thursday, Thursday, January 16, 2020. The City of East Cleveland Agenda Review Meeting is now called to order. Dr. Jackson, you call the roll, please.
Present.
Councilor Stevenson. Present. Councilor Gallo.
Present.
Councilor Martin.
Present.
And Councilor Smith.
Present.
And law director Williams here, present for the administration.
Thank you. Remarks of public on agenda items. Good, okay. And then we move on, minutes to be approved, we have drafts so far.
You have three drafts, you have the main sent to you from tomorrow. Are there any corrections or anything ahead of time?
So, Dr. Gallo, you said the three drafts, talking about contract and property, health, safety, and finance.
The first,
Okay.
Okay. Next we have reports and announcements from Mayor Brandon L. King, Representative Mayor King, Madam Law Director Willingham.
Well, the mayor is at the academic distress committee meeting. He is very pleased to call the governor today, and the governor has on the first meeting, and he's going to have to do that. Other than that, we'll defer to the end of the meeting.
Receipts of communications.
we did, reminder of the parade that the Starlight Baptist Church is having on the 18th, Saturday morning, 10 a.m. The lineup, 11 a.m., everything begins, and the parade will go from the library to the church. And council members said that they would be present for that. And then the Ohio Ethics Commission filings, sent a reminder to all current council members. Even if you served 2019 or in part of 2020, you still have to file. So I'll be giving that information out. Council members to review. And then the deadline on May 15th for that.
Thank you very much. Report from council committees.
Personnel and appointment, my Tuesday, January the 28th at 6:30, I will be personnel and appointments. That will be my committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman McDowell. General services.
General services will meet Wednesday, February 5th at 5:30 here in the judge's chambers.
Thank you.
February 5th, Ms. Stevenson, you said February 5th?
Yes.
You could refer to, as a council Stevens, you could check your emails on that. My message is there for charter section, I'm sorry, code section that requires the.
You need to be on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm trying to change that.
No, I don't want to, but I guess I have to. I want to be back up and. Is there an open Tuesday?
There's you know, at 5:30, before like a council meeting. This is Thursday, it's open.
That nothing else is going on? And change it to Thursday.
So what day would that be, Dr. Guy?
Actually, it'd be 23rd.
February 23rd?
Well,
January 23rd.
January 23rd. So it'll be like a fourth Thursday.
All right.
Thank you both.
So it'll be 5:30.
5:30. Thank you both. Contracts and property.
Contracts and property, we did have a meeting, however, I would like to defer until the council meeting to bring the information from the meeting. The next meeting will be on Thursday, February 6th at 6:30 p.m. at this regular location.
Thank you very much, Council. Health and safety.
Health and safety net, January 14th, and we had a pretty good meeting, discussed that, at our council meeting next week, and the next health and safety committee meeting is scheduled for the 11th, same time, 5:30.
Thank you very much, Council. The next finance meeting is February 11th at 6:30. We will have a report on the fiscal commission meeting and end of year budget. The next regular council meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 21st at 6:30. The agenda review, next agenda review meeting is scheduled for January 30th at 6:30. And I apologize, I'm gonna give the time for the finance committee meeting. That'll be February 11th at 6:30. Thank you all. Next proclamations. Thank you. Legislation, please.
Ordinance number 01-20, first reading, the ordinance authorizing the mayor to continue service for $5,500 for the Crown of Soil and Water Conservation District for the purpose of providing technical assistance and implementing soil and water conservation measures in order to implement the public involvement in public education, PIP, requirement under the Ohio EPA municipal septic storm sewer discharge NS4 permit requested by the Mayor King, sponsored by Council.
Ordinance bearing the name of Councilman Austin. Councilman Austin, have any remarks?
This is a recurring effort to make sure our water and our ground stay as pristine as possible, and this legislation will continue to occur on an annual basis. To help us take care of the water, with some training, also attached to our water with the meeting.
All right, any other comments? Thank you, Dr. Gavin. Move right along, please.
Ordinance number 2-20, ordinance pursuant to section 333.3 of the codified ordinances of the city of Cleveland, regulating the vehicular speed limit on City of Cleveland, East Cleveland, to change the speed limit to 25 miles per hour from 35 miles per hour for the streets of Superior Avenue at 12501 to 14140, and Euclid Avenue at 128 to 16383. Requested by the police chief, sponsored by Councilor.
Chair recognizes Councilman Moore.
Yeah, we had a discussion January 14th, we've been dealing with this for almost 3 months. We discussed it thoroughly. And one caveat that needs to be, we made on the meeting was we were going to change it from an emergency. Did you see that, Dr. Guy?
Change it back to.
No, we're going to get rid of emergency.
Oh, yeah.
Right. The one I got in front of me still has emergency on it. Just a reminder. Right. So otherwise, we're ready to proceed. We had a discussion from all council on this. And the paramount issue here is safety. So we're ready to have, I guess, the first reading to take place at the upcoming meeting. That concludes that. Okay.
Comment, colleagues? Thank you. Move on, please, Dr. Gavin.
The resolution number 01-20, first read, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of understanding MOU between the North Ohio region of the American Red Cross and the city of East Cleveland, Ohio, through its fire department to document cooperation between the two organizations in conducting smoke alarm installations and fire safety
Council Lord.
Thank you. Basically, it's about installing smoke detectors and going through a process and procedure which is government law based on. Basically, I read this section, it kind of summarizes those situations. The American Red Cross, the Northeast Ohio region, the Northeast Ohio region of the American Red Cross shall establish and/or provide each Cleveland Fire Department with the following at no cost: a smoke alarm hotline will be used to accept requests from residents by seeking installation of smoke alarms. At the regular intervals, and a list of addresses of the residential properties that have requested provisions of single station smoke alarm through the American Red Cross smoke alarm hotline. When available, a supply of up to 3 smoke alarms will be installed in the residential properties on the list provided. And lastly, the copies of the educational materials to be used for the following: the home fire safety checklist will be reviewed with the resident and information on how to create a fire escape plan. This was presented at the meeting January 14th, and also the fire chief, Mike Sneaker.
Just as a reminder, you have the smoke detector, but you need 3 batteries for those smoke detectors. The fire department will also provide those batteries, and then no cost to you. All you have to do is pick them up from our fire department, and then they'll take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Austin, for that caveat. That's it for the legislation. Okay.
Law Director would like to have a short presentation.
Really short. I apologize.
Each one, this is new legislation.
Let me give some background if I may, Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on January 15th, the rental registration was due. And on January 14th, we met with an attorney for 3 of the biggest landlords in the city. Each of those landlords has over 200 rental units under their auspices. And the reason for the meeting was that, as you might know, our legislation previously was called occupancy fee, and that was reversed by the courts. And so we took the opinion report and made new legislation which comported with all of the dictates of the opinion in the appellate courts. So what we did, we made a special assessment fund, we complied with all the constitutional requirements, including doing a study, doing a cost-benefit analysis, and restricting the funds for the inspections, the inspectors, the equipment supplies, and administrative costs. However, still the attorney, by the way, he said he, was charging more than $50 an hour. So that gives an idea. This was one of the top law firms in this area, in the county. And he said that he was going to sue us. And so we spent 2 hours, that's $900 of his time, on January 14th. And the last page that I just handed to you is the agreement that we would defer the payment of his registration fee until January 15th, 2020. So in light of the fact that we were going to be put into court another 2 years, in light of the fact that in terms of cost effectiveness, an inspector having to go to one building of 200 is a little bit more cost effective than having to go to a house with 2 units. We agreed, the administration agreed with the consent of council to lower their price from $100 per rental unit to $50 per rental unit for multi-unit dwellings with 200 or more rental units, and declaring an emergency. The reason, I know you guys don't like emergencies, but the reason for this is because they're most likely getting to defer filing suit, and this time it's not going to be in state court, it's going to be in federal court, which is much more, let's say, challenging and intensive. A lawsuit, he was going to sue us in federal court and proceed under a Sixth Circuit opinion that was put out a couple of years ago restricting the municipality of Bedford point of sales. So he was going to proceed under a similar theory with reference to us, and he won against Bedford. So with that hanging over our heads, we said we would consider reducing the rate from $100 per rental unit for landlords with 200 or more units. And so the reason for the emergency is that we have until February 3rd, and if it's not resolved by February 3rd, and we probably will.
Madam Auditor, are these the only three buildings that will be affected?
No, Lake Park Towers doesn't give us any problem. But in the interest of fairness, just because they, haven't threatened to sue us, we thought that they should be included in the exemption for install.
So you, mentioned you feel that, the 50 plus 100, you feel we won't win the case?
Well, I'm saying that we lost last year. Bedford lost the year before that with this law firm. This is, like I said, they are a top-rated law firm. The head of the law firm, Sheldon Burns, is renowned throughout the country. And he's 81 years old, but he still tries to protect. And he tells the state what the law is in many cases. Because we went to a seminar and they mentioned that he calls them all the time on different issues. And they take him very, very seriously. It's not that we are afraid, it's just that in the final analysis, it is true that a building inspector doesn't have to use the same amount of energy going to one place with 200 units as it does going to 200 different houses. You see what I'm saying?
So, in essence, are we saying that from your legal opinion and from you dealing with this, are you saying $100 is too much?
No.
After 74 units? Or what?
Well, no.
What is the barrier here? That's what I'm
What
trying
I'm
to
saying is, it costs us less to inspect one building with 200 units than it does to inspect 200 different houses. It's more cost effective for us to go one time, one place, apartment to apartment to apartment. We don't have to use the same gas mileage, we don't have to use the same resources, we don't have to use the same personnel. And the attorney pointed that out to us. Otherwise, he said all the paperwork was done Tuesday night, January 14th, and he said he would ask for a stay. So the stay is that it's like the preliminary injunction. In other words, you would be enjoined against enforcing this law as against the three largest, or three of the larger landlords within our borders. We wouldn't get anything from them. And the suit probably would go on for a couple of years, like the last one.
So we're selling now where we agree to the 50, then they're not going to pursue this. It's going to be We just go with the 50 instead of the 100 after 74 units?
Well, no, this one isn't after 74 units. This one would be for all the units, $50. Because we said the tiered approach in the previous legislation was after 74 units. But this one would just be for any building with 200 units, would only have to pay $50 for all of those units.
So if I have a house and I have an upstairs and a downstairs and I have 2 units, I pay 100 up and 100 down. If I have a house, I
Yeah, but if you live there, you don't have to pay for it, only resides in one of the units.
you don't have to pay, you pay 1 unit, not 2.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Is there any,
Hold on. The chair recognizes, Councilwoman Dawson.
yes, thank you. Is there any documentation? I mean, because emergency is one thing, but bringing this to us, I need to review it and revisit this since we got up until February.
So this is the last meeting before February 1st.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you know, we need some more information than just what you're saying.
Well,
I mean, since you got paperwork and all that in one suit.
well, we don't want his paperwork.
No, but we need to review why he, you know, we just need to review stuff because I don't have nothing in front of me. I mean, if I had something in front of me, I probably would see something differently. But by you just saying what you're saying, in the past, we said a lot of things and it wasn't what was actually said. It was errors in it and it just cost the city both ways a bunch of money. So we trying not to make the same mistake over and over again. So we definitely need documentation to back up what you're saying.
That we're gonna get sued?
That and what you're saying, period. You know, we need more than just hearsay.
Well, this is straight from the horse's mouth, me being a
Well, you
horse.
know, but your mouth ain't no prayer for keeper, but, you know, but I just want more documentation. That's all.
In terms of it being an emergency or being legislation.
Both.
You want the court, what you
I want
court
documentation,
documents?
yes. Yes, I want documentation of what went on and how did he come about, one of the sewers and all that, and how many hours that he worked and all that, and he didn't, you know, all that. I want the minutes, all that.
Well, see, that, it was, a meeting between, you know, a lawyer and
Okay,
administration.
but
And so no minutes were kept, but it was, just negotiations, talking back and forth, and his persuasive powers versus our persuasive powers, because he indicated that they definitely were not going to pay the
Okay,
$100.
is it on record? I'm saying, is it on paper? I just need to see that. I mean, we see this, but we want
Just
to
gave
see
the agreement,
the agreement,
Oh,
you know?
here's the agreement.
it's on the back, it's on the last page.
I mean, this little,
Yeah, that's the way.
this is it?
Yeah, this is the agreement, and,
Basically.
to defer, to extend the collection of their rental registration fee without, a late fee until February 3rd, with the consideration that
It's not
they
even,
wouldn't sue us.
it's signed, but it's not notarized, it's not even, I mean, this is just a plain piece of paper.
We're gonna move on to, the chair recognizes Councilman Arthur.
If it would be okay, I would like to hear about 2 minutes worth of background on how this thing came to be.
Yes, thank you.
It was some time ago, the housing department wanted to raise all the fees uniformly across the city. They wanted, and the pushback is that they were not to use this process as an opportunity for the city to make money. So what the, I guess, high rises hired an attorney to do is make them justify why these fees were necessary. So what the housing department went back and did, they identified future inspectors, additional costs for employees, additional costs for the vehicles, whatever materials were required to perform said inspections to make the city, the standard of living within the city increase. And based on their justification, they were able to submit the itemized list and what the cost would be. And based on the cost for the increased services, they came up with a certain dollar figure for all the uniformity across the city. For the residents to pay, the, I guess, individual homeowners, as well as the high-rise that would be inspected in the future. And that cost came to whatever the number was for that additional, I don't remember, was it 175,000? Some, I don't want to quote a number, but the number was justified based on the need, not necessarily just the need to make money, but the need to perform the services that the city required. And after that analysis was complete, then they came to, okay, this is the compromise. It's like she said, instead of inspecting 200 individual homes, like maybe an hour per home, they will be able to go to this high-rise building and maybe execute that instead of 200 hours, maybe 100 hours. So that's basically half of the overall service cost that they want to share with the homeowners of the, the property owners of the larger buildings within the city. So they came to this compromise, and now instead of the $100 for the first 74, which we need to correct the legislation if you could, Madam Law Director.
Oh, well, this is just an amendment. This is, this is an amendment. Instead of that, well, see, there's still some properties that are between 75 and 200 that are,
Okay,
that would apply to
I
this.
This is what
but
I'm saying.
Hold on,
one more
Councilwoman.
second. Just to make sure that the housing department did not just, raise fees to raise money for revenue for the city without being justified. They were required to go back and justify the cost that was required to justify the 900% fee increase from $10 to $100 for every homeowner in the city, which I had an exceptional concern with. But based on the, I guess, looking forward, saying that we can have some benefit in having the appropriate number of inspectors, performing inspections on an annual basis, and having the resources required to adequately respond to the complaints and follow-up required to raise the standard of every property in the city, I had no choice but to, or I felt obligated to allow the planning for future inspections to go forward. And this is a part of resolving that benefit of having 200 housing inspectors versus having 200 units inspected within the same building, which is about half the cost and half the time. So they did what they call a man-hour or manpower study to get to this place. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Let me ask you a question.
Hold on one second, please. Councilwoman, Stevens, do you have any comments over? Chair Regular, our colleague was slightly before you. Councilwoman Dowd.
Yeah, and I understand that, and that's fine. We trying to save money and everything, but when you come to me, you gotta come with documentation, paperwork of who we talking about. It's talking about who is he?
His name is on.
Okay, but I'm just saying, but his documentation is not, like how lawyers and stuff be writing statements saying that this is an urgent call or, something like that. I know you're trying to work something out, but where's the documentation before it even came to this point? So I can review it.
Well, we talked on January 13th, Monday, and he told me that he, of his intentions to not abide by the $100, to go to federal court, get a stay, a preliminary injunction, and not pay us anything. So, in light of that, I said, well, come tomorrow and I'll ask the administration to meet with you to see if we can come to some kind of compromise. And so it was quite an extemporaneous meeting at last minute, ad hoc. And so as a result of 2 hours of negotiations, because we were far, far apart for some time, then he said he would consider, he gave an offer. And then yesterday, and that wasn't satisfactory to the administration. Yesterday, on cell phone, we were back and forth 3 or 4 times to get to this compromise. It was, well, I got the text messages on.
I think I caught some too, Councilwoman Gotti, with the ordinance that we already passed, or ordinance that we already
In the
passed,
past.
would that help you out if we got you a copy of that?
Yeah,
So you
that's
could-
what I want.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's no problem.
Man, thank you.
Dr. Guy, can
You
you
made it
please
so
get
much
that,
better.
Here it is.
oh, okay.
Okay.
No,
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is what I was
I just-
looking
oh,
for. Something, you know,
Yeah, I
thank
just
you.
had for my own.
Okay, can I
You
get
have-
this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, so I can review it.
So with the consensus of council,
Yeah.
I got it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
I swear, I'm sorry, Councilman, I'm sorry,
To bring,
Councilman.
to bring this homeless off, you have a building on page,
I
right?
do.
So according to these fees, what would you be paying?
I
a year?
paid $700 for this year so
So
far.
you
Or
pay
800.
100 for each
700
unit
flat bill, yes.
in your building?
Yes.
Okay, so these big buildings will, like Crystal Top,
Discount.
they get a discount.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing is the rental registration fees until February 3rd. So I don't understand this attachment here is.
These are extemporaneous agreement not to charge them late fees while we were in negotiations.
So we didn't have time to have this look professional?
Uh,
I'm looking at this and I said, we have
I
a
mean,
$1 million
business.
corporation and this, I'm looking at it, just caught my attention and I said, that something like somebody just wrote something and they taxed it. You didn't have any time to have it typed.
Have it typed,
Yeah.
he was charging $40 or $50 to somebody, we didn't want
So you did
them
this
to
on,
take it out
on the
us.
spot?
But you
On the
could,
spot.
So when we get this vote on this Tuesday, we'll have, it's gonna be like this?
This is the agreement. In fact, sometimes in court, well, there is an agreement, because if you don't do it on that moment, people change their minds, agreements are written like this.
I don't even see no letterhead.
You don't think we have any leverage with this attorney in terms of the $100? Is that your legal opinion?
You mean the fifth?
Yeah, the 50 now versus the 100.
In light of the precedents and their track record of winning, I think that it's me against the $450 guys.
Plus, he could string this out legally for a long period of time, and we won't be able to collect the revenue.
Anything.
Okay. Okay,
We don't
Mr.
even know
Chairman.
that.
All right.
With the consensus of my colleagues.
Moving.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right along.
Is that it? I think that's it.
Next, we have remarks of public.
Okay, hearing about that, Justin Anderson, Terrace Road, hearing about what was just last discussed, I remember most of you up here, voted to increase those rates by 900%. In the future, I would advise you all to do a little research. Like you said, Bedford, right? Bedford, they won against Bedford. Maybe you guys could have found that out if you would have researched, did a little bit of research, and then maybe that would have gave you an idea of what you should have done. I thought it was steep to begin with. I think that is something that will run down some of these small buildings, like you mentioned you had a 7-suiter. I don't think you should be paying $700 a year. And these landlords who have these buildings, they barely can keep up the maintenance on it, let alone pay the extra $700. So not only do I think that they should drop it down for those big buildings, but should be dropped for everyone. It's not that serious where we need to raise the rates by 900%. And the owners of these buildings, the smaller buildings, those are the ones who's gonna take the biggest hit. These guys who own these 200 units, even if they did have to pay the 100, they wouldn't lose any sleep. It wouldn't bother them. But the people who have 7, 5.2 units, those are the ones who are going to take the big hit. So that legislation needs to be rewritten entirely. And finally, when it comes to the Chase policies, I want to know a little bit about the, you're with personnel and appointments, Juanita. I want to know a little bit about the policies when it comes.
Councilwoman Gowdy.
Oh, excuse me, Councilwoman Gowdy, thank you, Madam Law Director. Now I want to know a little bit about the policies. We need to come up with some legislation. I know that Councilwoman Gowdy talked about legislation to basically punish these officers from coming into the city on these high-speed chases, and also our officers from chasing into other cities on these high-speed chases because they lead to death or a severe crash because someone stole a car. It's not worth chasing them at 100 miles an hour through the city. Unless it's a murder suspect, in my opinion, I think that's the only way they should be chasing someone. Because you can catch a car thief later. They say we have the best detectives in the county. We'll catch them later. And though that must be addressed immediately because it's costing too many lives. And that's under health and safety, I think, and policy, so that we under personnel and employment and health and safety. So I hope we can do something about that and not just, sit around. Thanks.
I don't apologize, he isn't here, but he should be here, and I hope that you would take it back to him, Madam.
I explained where he was,
No.
also knows where he was, where he is.
No, I
The mayor
understand
you're
that.
talking about?
Yes. Number one, I don't know whom else received taxes after I paid my taxes in reference to, I guess, the street lights that the city did not pay the illuminating company or whomever is suing. And so now they are taking it out of the taxpayers. And I told them I paid my taxes. Then I got a letter, a tax bill this week in reference, and then I called them and they said that the city did not pay the taxes that they assess us with as far as the lights and things are concerned. So I don't know whom else in the city of East Cleveland got them, but I know I got one. You got one too?
Not everybody got one.
So I think the city need to get up off their posterior and pay the bills as we are paying our taxes and being assessed that on our taxes as well. So now we're paying double because they didn't do that. Secondly, I want to get that out, number one, before I went into anything else. I was going to address the police chase also. Cleveland has been in our city. There are 3 people whom Cleveland has killed or murdered in our city. And I think there must be some norms established in reference to whether we will allow them to come into our city by just chasing a car or whatever. It must be either a homicide or something of that nature have taken place. I can understand they must call, must get permission to enter into our city, not coming into our city just doing anything. And I think the legislation should reflect those things. What would permit them to come into our city, and also must notify ahead of entering our city. And whereas we can be on the watch. So yes, for them to keep coming into the city, and you, I know you, as law director, have had the case, one of the cases before you. And what happened? Nothing happened in reference to that matter. And I sat here and heard you plead that case or what have you. But they just feel that they can come in this city and do anything they want to do, other municipalities. And we must put a stop to it. If this council cannot do it with citizens, we can do it. And we can also write the legislation. And and demand that it be done. Because you are charged with protecting the public, whether they are traveling through the city or live in the city. That is our responsibility as a municipality. And we can make norms. That's what you are here to do, to make norms, not telling the law director, well, you must, I mean, not the law director, the mayor, you must do this or that. That's your responsibility, and he must carry it out. Once you pass it, if he veto it, you override the veto, it still becomes law without his signature. That is your function.
Thank you, that's 3.5 minutes.
There wasn't enough three. Part of that was on his. He talked longer than I did. So come on with that. Every time I
That
get up
was
here.
definitely 3.5 minutes.
So you keeping time?
The bell went off and I said nothing. I let it go.
Well,
I
it didn't
let
go
you
off on
continue,
him.
because he didn't go 3 the whole
Oh,
thing.
he went more than that.
The bell didn't go.
I know because
Come
you
on
didn't
now.
have it set. But anyway.
Thank you.
We
We move on to adjournment.
Wait a minute.
The 3 minutes is over.
Well, then I think somebody needs to respond to what I just said. That's what you're up
The
there for.
mayor's response?
Lexus response to council and mayor of the public. I had to check by that.
Okay, if I may,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, with reference to the lights, that was not the fault of the city. Cleveland Heights, Shaker Heights, as well as East Cleveland, sent those late bills out. They extended the deadline until January 30th. And it was not because of the city that submitted their materials late, because we have until generally September 30th to put in our special assessments. But like Cleveland Heights and like Shaker Heights, those special assessments were late because of the county treasurer's office, not because of anything that the city of East Cleveland did. And those special assessments were done by virtue of policies and practices of the county, not because we wanted you to pay for the lights. It's not because we were in default of paying for anything, but because their policy and practice is that homeowners in certain sectors will receive those bills from the homeowner and not from the city. So can I go on to we can talk afterwards. And then with reference to the police the police chase, you are exactly right. And you know who agreed with you? The Ohio Supreme Court, because I had some problems with the way that the case was lost. And of course, we still have a police supervisor at large. So I took it up to the Court of Appeals in terms of getting the declaratory judgment about certain issues and certain facets of the trial. And the Court of Appeals agreed with the municipal court. However, the Ohio Supreme Court disagreed and they accepted my version of the facts, and my brief is due January 21st, so I will take vacation on Monday. So I get a second bite at the apple, not as to the lady that won, but as to the outstanding gentleman, police supervisor, that still got to go to trial.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Gowdy.
Wow. We definitely need to do some policies so they can stop trespassing in these communities. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman Martin.
Yeah, I think the issue is enforcement. We can introduce legislation saying that, for an example, that they can't come in here chasing people, etc. But how do you enforce that? 6 years ago, we shot from the Justice Center downtown Cleveland, shot through Bradnall, shot up the Heritage Middle School, and shot people 137 times, 2 innocent people. So what I'm grappling with is how do you enforce this?
If you have
Like,
laws on the
you-
books, that's what they.
it's out of order.
You don't let other people know.
Whether you have laws or not, If there's a chase going on, the adrenaline's running high, and they chasing somebody, can you enforce that?
Yes, you can.
Yes, yes.
I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you, you can.
Here's the other situation. And I want you to think about this. I felt that they should have boxed this guy in, called our police, and say this guy is heading in your direction, going east, it's set on Euclid, whatever the case may be, and can you box him in? You got a 15-year-old chasing, running from the police, scared half to death. Could we have boxed this guy in?
They have helicopters.
Not going 100
And not only that, they have no traps to throw the stuff down, to bust the tires.
I thought about that. Also thought about the fact that the 137 shots, should they have contacted our police? Or I think, matter of fact, some of our police were there. Do we have jurisdictions to stop that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Should that situation should have been turned over? And this is a legal question. Should that situation been turned over to us before they done what they did up there in Heritage Park and shot them people 137 times?
That's what the Ohio Supreme Court said.
Okay. So, looking at it, we can legislate it, and I'm in favor of that. Enforcing it, I hope we can. I mean, this is some writing on a piece of paper saying that this is the policy, that's the policy, but the enforcement is the key. And that's how I see it. Thank you.
You notify other
Thank you.
municipalities of what.
Councilwoman Stevens?
Does that make sense to you? Yes. Yeah.
Well, this is what I have to say today.
Okay.
After much research and listening and talking, and people are talking about policies and procedures. This council, as we sit here today, has no bylaws, has no policy, has no procedure, has what is that, charter that's 53 years old, that does not fit, that is conflicting in and of itself. We are in a state here at this council where we have no checks and balances, you have no operating procedures, we have no orientation process, we have nothing that actually governs this council. So I was taught that charity begins at home and spreads abroad. I think that the council first, before we talk about adding new legislation, we need to get our act together. Because right now, as we sit here, this council is just floundering. That's what it's doing. Nobody has any direction. Nobody gives you any direction. You come here, you sit here, and you have to sort of, if you're not a quick study, you're in trouble up here. And it doesn't look good for the council to be in the situation that it's in. Okay? I've sat here for years in these seats, and I've watched people do things that are illegal, do things that cause other folks discomfort, like sexual harassment, being harassed. Some of it's almost close to violence. These are all things that this council is not addressing, and I'm not going to sit here and allow it to continue to go on. I'm asking the president at this time to take the necessary steps that need to be taken to move this charter into a new century, because that charter that we have is like from the 18th century, and it's not functional. It's not functional. 53 years old is too long for any document to be in existence. And that's mine.
That's not true.
Thank you, Councilwoman Stevens. Councilman Tim Austin?
You don't follow the agreement. It gives you direction.
Thank you. Councilman Austin?
That's what you do.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. I would tell you that there is some, I guess, individual, preparation that you have to do. And there's a constant study required. There are some exceptional documents in place. However, they are indeed out there. And how do we get to that place where they're more reflective as far as the verbiage? Because when I look at some of our ordinances and in the charter, the ordinances here covered a whole lot of stuff from, gifting marijuana to, changing how we do business at the school. So some of those things have been updated. Thank you, Dr. Guy, for finding the American Legal to help us with updating and, bringing our ordinances back into where they're at least recognizable. There is some work to be done. There is some council handbook that has been passed around and not officially accepted as this is our final draft of the document, but the document does exist. It does require some updating, and I did have the pleasure of, perusing it and, ask, that we as a council do things that are, in decency and in order, and bring the integrity back to council. Stop putting out things that are untrue, reduce the amount of slanders, efforts that we have, and start really performing this job or our duties, as public servants to serve the people and not your own selfish intent and or efforts that really, encourage the city to take steps backwards. So let's start looking at, how we make it better and put a solution on the table. No more rhetoric, no more talking at it. Let's start really our hands on the plow, not look back, and do the work required to accomplish the task, whether it's simply legislating, making our lives better for our residents, and making the council better, because I didn't receive a big wide welcome and a whole lot of information from the person that has plus 25 years that I came to for information on how do you do this? What's the preparation like? Not a word. Didn't return my phone call. So I understand where you come from.
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking about in general how we move forward.
You said 25 years.
I wasn't telling you a lie. I'm telling you the truth.
You made
But
no,
it's my turn.
you made a personal thing toward
It's my turn. Let me have one more.
Okay.
Let me finish
All
my
right, so I have to counter that, all right?
But I'm not telling you nothing that's not true. I'm telling you
Well,
what's fact.
just your opinion, I don't agree with that.
So
You made it
again,
personal when
I
you
will-
directed it toward me,
I will
so I
make a
have something to
conscious
say
effort.
about that. Okay?
to do a better job to make your transition
If you're gonna rent or something, you should have paid for 54.
a whole lot easier. So, Brother President, thank you. That's all I have.
And that's
Thank you,
your neighbor's
Councilman
city. I found out.
Thank you to my colleagues, Madam Law Director for being here in place of the mayor, Dr. Guy for working hard, cameraman, our police officers, our great residents. Thank you very much. Could have been anywhere else tonight. You decided to come check on the business of the city, and we appreciate you. I now entertain a motion to
I want
adjourn.
to say something.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. The
I'd like
time
to say
is 7:38 PM.
He has the right to ask the question.
I didn't say, man, did I say
I
something?
know I was talking, he was,
Councilman Martin?
Yeah. The charter was put in place years ago. It needs revision, but it's the Bible. For the most part, it's a solid document. Like anything, it needs to be changed. Now, when I got on this council years ago, I got on like everybody else, you get on and you learn. Okay? You do your research, you do your homework, period. Now, it's not my responsibility to do anything with anyone else. My responsibility is for me to stay on top of what I have to do to serve my constituents. What I've done over the last 25 or 26 years is irrelevant to what you learn. If Corrine is doing her homework and she's checking out stuff and she brought up sexual harassment and all of that, fine. All the years that when I came here, I had the same concern about, is there a manual, is there something to follow? I was told, no, you just learn the best way you can. And maybe we can correct that. We need to do that. But these kind of personal snipes about my 25 years, you don't know what the hell I've done in 25 years, because you ain't been in that long, I take offense to. And I don't make personal attacks at anybody, so this has got to stop. Okay? I need to say that.
There you go. I now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Y'all,
Read this.
Yeah.
Read this.